Hello everybody, how's it going? I want to show you guys another deck I built. I know I said I was going to show off your decks in the future, but right now I'm just kind of like recording some stuff ahead of time so I have time to prepare your videos. Today's deck is my aptly named Intrepid Garbage deck. This is maybe a little bit mean. This deck is not good. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you this right now. However, it is very fun to play and it's a bit memey. Let me explain it. Well, let's maybe before I even explain it, have a look at our list of cards. So we play the Eager Apothecary, Lagomelia Nomad, Mana Drone, Latent Warp Spring, Intrepid Apprentice. Let's do this. And now it gets interesting. We play Resonance, Not Yet Ready, Reap, Garden of Thunder, Blooming Blackly, Planar Skew, Never Enough, Growth of Lock, and 1,000 Shining Teeth. You may notice that Muse, of course, is a green and purple hero, and despite that, my deck is not restricted to those colors at all. In case you don't know, you can click this button right here to enable viewing all cards in the deck builder. And yeah, we were playing a lot of blue cards. We were playing a bunch of red in there. I mean, honestly, it's a bit unrestrained. In fact, I actually wanted to update this slightly and toss in maybe another big spell. Why don't we just make that there's a beast in everyone? All right, that seems kind of fun. So what is this deck then? How does this work? Well, it's based on this card, the Intrepid Apprentice. Intrepid Apprentice is the card with the most text in the game. Yeah, there's nothing in the game that has more text than Intrepid Apprentice, but it is a lot of wild text. It's a 1 ambition, 1 devotion, 1 insight companion, 3 attack, 4 health. The stats aren't actually that bad, but despite that, you really shouldn't ever use this to attack with. That's not what it's about. Instead, it's about its abilities. Now, first, to even use its ability, you may only use my ability if an allied companion used an ability this turn. So to even use this ability, we need to have another companion in the story that has also used an ability already. Now this is where you can see most of my early game. We have Eager Apothecary, Lagomelia Nomad, and Mana Drone. We play these cards not because they are incredibly powerful for the rest of our deck. They really do nothing with the rest of our deck. But we play them because they are cheap companions that have abilities that we can use to enable the Intrepid Apprentice. Then, the Intrepid Apprentice's ability costs 1 ambition, 1 devotion, and 1 insight to activate, which is incredibly prohibitive. But then it says, look at the top 3 cards of your deck. You may play a spell or enchantment among them for free. Now you can see why we have all of these spells in here, right? We even have Never Enough just for good measure because, you know, counts enchantments as well, why not? But we have all of these incredibly powerful, high mana cost spells because we're not actually planning on playing them honestly. We're planning on cheating them out of Intrepid Apprentice. Then place the remaining cards either back on top of your deck or on the bottom. This is really nice because you can kind of like optimize your next few draws as well as playing a spell. But here's the problem. If there is no spell or enchantment among the 3 cards, your turn ends and discard the 3 cards. That's the tricky part. That's why you can't really afford to play just a bunch of nice value companions. That's why you can't be sidetracked when you're playing the Intrepid Apprentice. You really need to commit your entire deck into it. And as a result, that's what we did. We have a deck full of these scary spells because if we ever end up missing with this ability, well, that's going to make our life a lot more difficult. Anyway, let me go ahead and queue into a quick little game of Ranked, and then we'll see how it goes. Something I want to point out really quickly, if you want to give the game a go, of course it is on Steam, it's fully free to play, you don't have to worry about purchasing anything. But if you're going to start your ranked journey, I have I've seen some people say that, you know, like, I'm just now getting started and I'm queuing into players at 500 MMR. There's a rank floor at 500 MMR. Don't worry, you will hit 500 MMR in no time. And then you can't drop below it anymore. Every 500 MMR has a rank floor. So don't worry too much about it that you're fighting players that are, you know, better than you. Because frankly speaking, they're probably not. Anyway. Let's get ourselves into a match. Cool. So we have the Lagomelian Nomad. Now the problem is we can't really play this right now because we want to make sure that the Intrepid Apprentice is in play first so we can then chain this. But the problem is with that, the Intrepid Apprentice has a very prohibitive mana cost, not only on the card itself, but also on its ability. So we actually need to wait a little bit. Ideally, what we want to play is we want to play the Intrepid Apprentice on turn 3, and then on turn 4, play the Nomad and activate this ability. Before we do that though, let's quickly talk about Muse. So we're playing Muse for this deck. Muse is the perfect hero for this list. First, she has this primary ability, 1 neutral, scry 1. This just lets us look at the top card of your deck, and if we don't like it, we throw it away. Our deck is full of cards that we can't even play. And so being able to just kind of filter our draws goes a very long way. Her secondary ability is even more important though. The first mana in your mana pool is a chromatic mana of all colors. That is what even allows us to play the Intrepid Apprentice, right? You may have wondered so far, well, you know, you keep talking about how we are going to cheat out mana, but how are we even going to play the Apprentice in the first place? Well, that's because of Muse's secondary ability, allowing us to have this chromatic mana here, allowing us to play, you know, 1 mana cost of any color. So, no problem there. Let me go ahead and scry again. Mana Drone. Actually, one of the best companions for the early game, but sadly, we didn't quite get it in time. I'm going to... Apologies. I'm going to play the Lagomelian Nomad here, which is just a nice body, and we're just going to use that to fight a little bit. Muse's ultimate, all your mana is chromatic mana of all colors. So what we're kind of trying to do with this deck is we want to make sure that we survive the early game and go into as quickly of an Act 3 as possible. Because that will allow us to then actually play all of the cards in our deck. As I've already talked about so many times, we actually can't really play most of the cards in our deck. But once we get into Act 3, we can play anything we want. That's the real power of Muse, right? So that's where we can kind of make sure that in the late game, we're not going to just get stuck with a hand of cards that we can't even use. We will be able to use them eventually, just not early on. It will take quite a while though. Anyway, Ataraxy comes down. We've got a Frontier Architect. No big deal. We're going to have to take a bit of a risk here. We're going to play this Intrepid Apprentice. And we are just going to hope that Vanora doesn't kill it. That's it. That's our entire strategy. Hey, Nameless Name 9. Thank you very much for the 20 months. Now, of course, that is very risky because Vanora is a character that can very much get a lot of powerful cards into play very early on. And Lightning Seed will just straight up take us out. So, okay, well, that is bad. Okay, so that didn't work. We have now reached the struggle stage of our deck. Hey, Mimbles, thank you very much for the 26 months. Yes, we have reached the point where things start getting a little bit scary. And now you might be like, wait, that didn't take any time at all and it's already scary? Yes, as I had mentioned, this deck is not particularly good. Alright, we do not want There's a Beast in everyone. What we need to do is we need to find our Intrepid Apprentice. Now, we do play some things that can help us find them. So, for example, we have Let's Do This, which just fishes her straight out of the deck. Or we have, what's it called? So. Although, admittedly, I did just take out a copy of So maybe that was a mistake. Anyway. It seems our opponent is taking it a bit slower, which is very nice for us. Also a bit unusual for Vanora, so, you know, that's very good for us. That's a very blessed moment right there. So let's have a look at our opponent's hero really quick. So our opponent is Vanora. Vanora is a blue hero, and she's all about having money and resources and using them recklessly and quickly in ways that... You know, where individual plays don't matter so much, but it's more about the whole of everything. That's where Vanora is at her most powerful. Okay, great. We have nothing. Okay, well, that is also very bad. I'm going to play an Ego Apothecary here. I'm going to start healing myself and praying. It's okay, we'll get there. Don't worry about it. So, what does Venora do? Her primary, add a crown to your hand. So, crown is a free spell that generates 1 neutral mana. So, she can kind of carry mana between turns. Her secondary, start the game with an additional bag of crowns. Every third turn afterwards, add a bag of crowns to your hand. So, on turn 1, she gets a bonus bag of crowns, which, in case you don't know, bag of crowns is a free spell that adds a chromatic mana into your hand. A bag of crowns is also the free spell you get if you go second. But you can use that. Man, we're having a hard time here. All right, let's do this. That should be fine. Yeah, actually, I feel like that might be okay. We might die. Let me calculate our mana really quick. So we currently have, we're up here with 6. We're going to be at 7. We're almost certainly going to be in Act 2. So we need these 2 mana we need to calculate that in as well. We use free devotion. I actually have to play this rabbit now because I will not be able to play the rabbit next turn. Okay, I'm going to play the rabbit in hopes of the rabbit surviving. Right, I'm just kind of trying to maximize my chances of having something with an ability in the story. Again, that is a requirement for the Intrepid Apprentice. All right, cool. We're still alive. We're still good. Yeah, Venora is probably going to have a lot of mana this turn, which is very scary, but I'm just hoping that she doesn't kill my rabbit. We just need the rabbit to survive. That's it. You just need the rabbit. Okay. All right, there's more mana coming out. Don't worry. Again, this is what Venora does. She plays a million things. Just don't kill the rabbit. Just be nice. Be nice to the rabbit. Chat, push me on if you think Venora should be nice to the rabbit. Yes! Oh, thank you so much. Alright, double priest, no big deal. No big deal. Oh my god. This is fantastic. Now you might look at the sport and say, Baumi, I for the love of God cannot tell what is fantastic about the sport. I don't see it. Well, my friend, we're about to see it. So let's go and use Let's Do This. This lets us fish out our Intrepid Apprentice, which is very good. We put that into the story. Then we just put her into the guarded stance right away. We activate this ability, which is just a free ability that provides some healing. And now we can actually activate this. Let's click the button. I think the game knows what we need. I think the game knows what we need, doesn't it? Ah. How nice of the game to be supporting us in our endeavors so much. Well then, I don't think we are left with much of a choice. So let's go ahead and click the button. And wasn't that beautiful? Wasn't that just beautiful? So we can decide now if we want to leave those 2 other planar skews on top of our deck or we want to shuffle them to the bottom. I'm going to throw them to the bottom. I don't necessarily know if that's the right play, but it should be okay. I would actually like a sow. So here's kind of the problem. We're going to lose this bunny next turn because this is an enchantment companion and its span is about to run out. So we cannot use the Lagomelia Nomad to activate an ability again, which means that we cannot actually activate the Intrepid Apprentice next turn. You saw how powerful this effect is, right? You saw how powerful this ability is, but the problem with it is really that it just becomes a bit difficult to pull it off consistently, because if your opponent kills the Apprentice or if your opponent kills your support for the Apprentice, then it just doesn't do anything. But when you get it, oh, it is so strong. It is so strong. Cool. Let's go ahead and play So. Ideally, we want a mana drone. Okay, so we got absolutely nothing. We could play the Intrepid Apprentice here, but I think that's just kind of setting us up to have her die, and we don't want that. So we're not actually going to use So to play the Intrepid Apprentice. We could play Latent Warp Spring. Well, okay, so maybe I should explain So first really quick. So we can choose an enchantment and a companion that costs 3 or less to enter the story. And then we can choose a spell to add into our hand. I'm going to choose the Latent Warp Spring and add it into my hand. And I'm going to actually pass on playing the Intrepid Apprentice. Because it's more important to me that we have that for later. Because if we potentially lose out on that, then that could be a problem. Oh, and I did forget to scry right there. I should have clicked the button. Oh, well, you know what? I don't always get everything right. You know, that's just how it goes. So, let's have a look at how this plays out first, though. The good old Spire Protector, just standing strong. It's just one of those cards that you get in blue, you know, disarms a thing, and then also draws a card when he dies. And there's just a lot of value to that. Oh, and Glyphosate. Okay, so we're gonna have to deal with a lot of mana. Right, a lot of resources on our opponent's side now. Well, not like that wasn't already the case. Well, looking at this, we don't really have anything going for us that feels particularly powerful. So we can just play Never Enough right now. This seems about as good a time as any to just do that. So let's play Never Enough, and then we can also scry. We don't want Resonance. We're looking again for a companion that can enable the Apprentice. What does Never Enough do? Never Enough is a scary card. So Never Enough, you may notice, I didn't play it on my side of the board. I played it on my opponent's side of the board. Yeah, it's a bit of a strange card like that. You'd play it on your opponent's side, and then at the start of their turn, they have to choose one of 4 different effects. One of them is destroy all your enchantments, which our opponent just chose. Then the second one is destroy all your companions, which our opponent might have to choose next turn. Then the third is give your opponents 4 5/5 Sworn Quarries, and the fourth is discard your hand. You have to choose effect. You have to choose an effect that you haven't chosen yet. So as Never Enough is in the story, every turn you kind of have to make a new bad decision, right? And that's the scary element there. So it's really quite fantastic that we managed to get our hands on that. Surprised that our opponent would want to have a copy of Never Enough. Never Enough does cost 6 devotion to play, which can be a bit tricky to get if you're playing a non-devotion deck. Admittedly, if somebody can do it, it is Venora. She has access to a lot of resources. Again, she's got access to all that money. Alright, we're going into our turn again, and this is a bit of a struggle again. We actually do have a fun play we can do here. You may have noticed that over the course of this game, I've been sneakily setting up Latent Warp Spring. Now, what is Latent Warp Spring? Mark 2 target pages with spells and abilities that target a permanent in this page, also target all other permanents in pages marked by Latent Warp Spring. What does this mean? You can see that I have 4 pages already marked with Latent Warp Spring, soon to be 5. So all of these are now affected by Latent Warp Spring. If I now play a card like, for example, Blooming Blackly, which says deal 5 damage to any target, then that looks a little bit like this. Which is very nice. And then we get ourselves an Ica that's just kind of the secondary effect of Blooming Blackly. So have a look at what's on top of our deck. Very good. Very good. Let's do this. Now, let's do this. May seem a little weird because we already have the Apprentice, right? But that's important. We can use Let's Do This to also draw ourselves like a Mana Drone or a Rabbit or an Eager Apothecary to, you know, be able to actually trigger this ability again. We're still looking to use that because we're not in Act 3 yet. We might go into Act 3 depending on how our opponent wants to play here. Oh. Look at that. She went and discarded her entire hand. I guess she wants to keep High Archpriest Glyphosate alive for as long as possible. This Ica is summoned by Blooming Blackly, has 5 plating, making it incredibly difficult to fight. Alright, into Act 3 we go. So, honestly speaking, the right play right now is to play Reap. You may notice now all of our mana is chromatic. We can just play whatever we want. So that would be the right play. But is it the most fun? Let's do this first. Grab ourselves a good old mana drone. Mana drones are fantastic because they actually generate mana, which works out very well for us. Activate this. And what do we get? Oh, we can get Planar Skew, which we actually don't really want to do right now, but we can play Grow the Flock. which we will use this to grab ourselves High Archpriest Glycephane, and now we have that effect as well. Isn't that handy? This goes to the bottom of our deck, and you know what, at this point, why don't we just play Reap anyway? We have enough mana, right? Very good. Oh no! Oh! Of course! Of course! Apologies! The Never Enough was on a latent Warp Spring. I forgot about that. And now I've managed to destroy the Never Enough before I got the biggest trigger. Oh, man. Well, that was a bit of a mistake from my end. And look, yeah, it's a bit tricky. It's a bit tricky at times. All right, back into our turn we go. So, we have plenty of mana available. Let's activate this right here. And I'm going to play Not Yet Ready. What Not Yet Ready does is it shuffles our ashes back into our deck, which in our case just fills it up with all of these really powerful, scary spells again. Activate this, and looking at that, well, why don't we use There's a Beast in Everyone? I just put that into the deck, didn't I? Oh, look at that. On the bottom of the deck, why yes, thank you. Let's do this. Very good. We can grab ourselves another Apprentice. And let's activate this. We can play Planar Skewer Resonance. Let's use Resonance. I like having these like weirdly super long complicated chains because they're just kind of fun. Oh no, okay, we didn't get anything there. Alright, that was a bit of a waste then. Okay, probably should have just played Planar Skew because now I'm gonna have to trade manually. But it would have been very funny if I had actually gotten it. Let's see what we get. 1,000 Shining Teeth. Usually a very good card, but I'm kind of looking for my last Warp Spring here. What does Eric mean? Eric is a subtype. You may have seen various Eric in the game. So, for example, if we have a quick little look here, for example, the Frontier Architect, this is an Eric. There's all sorts of different Erics, and yeah, so I don't know, it's just like a little subtype. So you can see here that our, oh yeah, the Ica is now an Eric, and High Archpriest Glycephane is now an Eric, and the Mana Drone is now an Eric. Oh, at this point I could probably have moved the Intrepid Apprentice out of the guarded stance. Latent Warp Springs can be used by both sides, right? The opponent can cast through your Warp Springs. Absolutely. Yeah, it's actually something that I find very funny if your opponent, like if both you and your opponent are playing Warp Spring decks, and then at the end of the day you have 14 pages all marked with latent Warp Springs. It just kind of becomes a little bit of a disaster, but a very amusing disaster if you ask me. Talking about very amusing disasters, our opponent just made a grave mistake. Oh, and it's just getting worse by the second. We should have lethal. You might be like, wait, what? Oh no, never mind. All right, our opponent 15 steps ahead of us. What am I even saying? So, what I was planning to do right there was use 1,000 Shining Teeth, which deals overwhelm damage, on all 4 of those companions, because keep in mind the latent Warp Spring would have duplicated it, so I would have used it on one of them and then would have hit all 4 of them, each of which taking 4 damage, which is overwhelm, which goes to the hero, but sadly the Merry Expedition saving them. Well, I guess that works out for us though, because we get to click the button a little bit more. So what do we get? Oh, a latent Warp Spring, perfect. Oh yeah, I know I could deal 12 damage right now, but you know, why not just go out and do these Warp Springs? That sounds kind of fun. We can still deal 12 damage right now, you know, we don't have to hold back there. Alright, 1,000 Shining Teeth. Well, yes, thank you. And we'll put this on the bottom of our deck. Go ahead and put you into the combat stance. And maybe get some hits in. Honestly, my sequencing should probably be a bit better here, but I'm just kind of having a good time. Oh, let's do this. Let's see if we can find ourselves another Intrepid Apprentice. Very good. And then we can play a Bag of Crowns and activate this ability one more time. Resonance. And what are we getting? Why not play Garden of Thunder? Gets us into Act 3. Well, we already are into Act 3. Sorry, gets us past the second barrier. And I think that's it. I think that's the end of our turn. It seems that we might have things a bit under control. Oh man. The game definitely started out looking a little bit scary for us, but I think we ended up turning it around rather nicely. And... okay. I don't know if our opponent really has anything. It doesn't seem there. It doesn't seem like there actually is anything on their side that is gonna be a significant threat to us in any capacity. Oh, what are we imprisoning? The Boundless Spire can lock something away for quite a long time. Oh yeah, Boundless Spire imprisonment lasts forever. I mean, of course, it depends on how much mana you use. So that's how the Boundless Spire works. It has this ability which costs X mana, so you can select yourself how much mana this consumes. And then it says, this imprisons target companion for 1 + X turns. So that's kind of the real big value there. And... alright. Taking their time there. Dude, you should slay that spire. Oh, we will be slaying that spire, for sure. Now, we can do this by clicking this button here. But you know what? I think we're gonna go ahead and show off the final combo in this deck. 1000 Shining Teeth. We already talked about it. So this will hit all 3 of those targets. And win us the game. Beautiful. Of course, at that point, we had plenty of ways to win. So yeah, that's my Intrepid garbage deck. Now, you might be like, wait, that seemed really powerful. Why are you calling that a garbage deck? Well, I called it a garbage deck because A, I think it's kind of funny to call it a garbage deck, and B, it dies to anything that your opponent does. Our opponent this game didn't really do that much. They just filled up their board with a bunch of stuff and then didn't do any damage with it. If you're playing against an opponent that actually tries to do damage to you or has any sort of significant strategy, it does end up falling short quite frequently. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to give Chroma, Bloom and Blight a shot. The game is on Steam. It is entirely free to play. You don't have to pay for any of the cards. None of that nonsense here. Just download the game and go ahead and queue into some ranked matches. We do have a tutorial, so you can kind of learn the basics there. And in fact, I am currently procrastinating working on the second tutorial, but I will stop procrastinating now because I'm done recording my video, which means that by the time you see this, the second tutorial should probably be finished, which covers some more of the in detail things. Anyway, that's it. Yeah, anyway, I'll see you guys around. Goodbye.